other correspondence? Ms. Shirley?
No, no.
Any city attorney report?
No, ma'am.
Transportation Investment Act, Mr. Davis.
Ma'am. You all got two spreadsheets in your package. They're essentially identical because the project group 1 and 2, major street improvements and bicycle pedestrian trails, were the projects we were talking about sharing with the county in order to move them ahead. Those projects for major street improvements were, you know, in the city downtown plan, there's an underpass that goes under 78 as Flower Street extends. If the TIA passes, then they're going to have 78 CFI as one of the major projects to jump off first. And with the importance of this connection road to the city's town center, we felt it would be good to have that road constructed at the same time they're tearing up 78. Because I don't really want to go back in 2 or 3 years and have to tunnel under that road. Life just starts out bad and goes downhill in a hurry when you do that. The second project on there that we put in was for some changes to access to Tree Lane over near the hospital. We have a lot of traffic backup in that area. There's a lot of problems with people both getting out of town and coming into town. And the access to the hospital is confusing to say the least. So we had looked at some alternatives of creating different accesses, moving some traffic lights over there. The $505,000 is road surfacing projects throughout the city to just extend the Public Works Department's resurfacing schedule. We also had, as part of the town center initiative, we looked at trying to keep projects that would help us move the town center forward as well as help other areas. The bike and pedestrian trail systems, I worked with Lisa to come up with some connections between parks through the downtown area. And these roads with these connections actually make some extremely strong compass point to compass point connections through the city for bike and pedestrian traffic. Each of these has some money set aside already in the county SPLOST, but they're not necessarily very high up on their food chain. So we were looking at offering a split with them to get those projects underway.
When you said SPLOST, are you talking about SPLOST or are you talking about T-SPLOST?
Well, this is where it gets very interesting. The county is getting a chunk of money, 15% money from the T if it comes through. One of the things they have elected to do is take their 2009 SPLOST that did not completely get funded and use their money to expand the 2009 SPLOST and complete those projects. I got you all each a copy of the T-SPLOST, or 2009 SPLOST, and I marked in yellow those streets and those projects that tie in to the city. We had developed inside staff, Mr. Treadway asked me to put together a group, and myself, Lisa, Chief, Billy, and Gay had looked at projects, and the longer chart that you had, that had items 3 and 4 in it, were items that our committee had come up with that we felt were needed. And we initially started looking at how to split those costs out to get the county interested. But when Russell and I attended a couple of meetings with the T-SPLOST organization, or the TIA organization at the county, it became pretty obvious the county was going to take their portion of the money and move these projects ahead. So we elected to take splitting the money out of that and just let the county pay for it, because they were going to pay for it anyway. And we go back to the items at the top pressing, and we should use some of our money to push it along. The $4.2 million that's totaled in those first couple of items there for the city's share represents our money that we get from the TIF should it pass. We get, was it Russell?
4,252,300
Yeah,
approximately.
over a 10-year span, or until we get it, however it works.
And so the sidewalks on Oak Road are part of that joint project?
Actually, the Oak Road, parts of the Oak Road sidewalks are part of a project of the county's. The bike path portions of Oak Road are parts that we want to move ahead with in coordination with the county. And those bike paths would be pedestrian/bike path combinations.
And is this list ready for council to vote on? I mean, as far as you're concerned, is this list ready for council to vote on?
If y'all could give me a preliminary voting that you like this list, that would be fine. As Russell said, I'm on a technical committee at the county level, which they have yet to call a meeting, but they're going to be looking at every city's request. And we're going to have to be up there doing battle with the other cities in the county. And if I had a commitment from y'all that this is what you wanted to do, that would be great. I don't have a meeting date scheduled yet, so it's not necessary for you to jump out and do it right away. What I would like you to do is look at these lists, think about what we've done, and then let's come back and discuss it after y'all have had a week or two to digest the information.
I'm gonna ask that this be on our next council agenda then for discussion. Also, Mr. Davis, we're going to put together a town hall meeting. I know you're not on this committee. You're
Oh,
not
good.
On that's like Mayor Johnson's committee, but we're going to put together the town hall meeting with ARC for the publicized the activities. I need to know if council wants to do that town hall meeting at one of our regular council meetings and just have a presentation by ARC, or if we actually want a true town hall meeting where they just come into the community room and educate the public as to what's going on.
My understanding of what they're, it's really more the informational, educational. It's really not a hearing per se where they're looking for feedback. Those, the decisions of what the projects are have already been made. So there's really not a feedback mechanism as much as it is an educational, informational process that they put together.
So it would either be a ceremonial matter report. Do you think we would get a better turnout with a separate meeting, or if we did it as a ceremonial matter during our council meeting?
Personally, I think it would be better as a separate meeting, as long as it was promoted and advertised properly and extensively, so that everyone in the citizen, all the citizens in the city were touched at least once to know that it was going to happen, so that, and more than that if possible, so we can get a good crowd. I mean,
Well, it's up to us to advertise it.
Exactly
so what are your
right.
suggestions for
I
how
have
to do that?
suggestions, I don't have a problem with that. But it's my, that's my opinion. We may have to spend a little bit of money, $500, so get some flyers, get some things out. But if we really want good attendance at it, I would suggest that we do it as a separate meeting and that we advertise it and promote it as best we know how.
And that's part of this transform metro mailing. It's part of that. That's what that is, right?
But maybe we'll get some help from them as far as advertising.
Well, the other thing too, I don't know if we're, somebody from Public Works. How often do they send their bills out? I think it's, don't they send the garbage bills out quarterly?
No, that's it.
Business
Business garbage bill. I was just thinking, the things that we're mailing out, if we, I don't know what we're mailing.
We're collecting articles
Spirit
right now
magazine.
for the newsletter.
That'd be good. That would be
Going
good.
out,
Okay.
and that goes out to
Yeah, any
everybody.
mechanism we've already got in place where we're gonna send the mailer out, or a piece of mail or something that we're gonna do, the newsletter, it goes to, gets on, anything we have now currently, we need to attach it to.
Well, we can,
First, you need a date.
yeah. If we have a date, we can get it in the city newsletter.
Well, we would probably have to
We
count
need
on
to
them
con
for a
for
day,
ARC,
right?
yeah. But I did, before, they said they were willing to work with us, but before we did that, I didn't know if we wanted to ask them for a Saturday date, a weekday, or if we were looking at a council agenda date,
Yeah,
so.
weekday evening would be best, I think. I mean, I'll go whatever everybody thinks, but, yeah, Wednesday night or Wednesday, right?
We got Facebook, I guess, don't we? My favorite.
And on a moratorium.
Just kind of others on.
Just on certain
I
things.
know. The deal is instructive.
The city's Facebook page.
There you go. You're immune.
Who makes the rule? Let me ask you, John, one question. The $4.3 million, did you, I think you were saying some kind of date for this, is that date fluid? I mean, do we know approximately when we get that stuff?
Are you asking when the money comes in?
Right, when the money comes in on that.
It's gotta pass
First
first.
gotta pass.
First thing.
Law has to
So
pass.
once it passes, I know it's really doesn't have any boundaries on it, but we're talking about, is that money gonna be coming in at one chunk, or is it?
No,
No,
it comes in over
Just like
over
the
10
SPOS
years.
money. It's just like
a
SPOS
SPOS
coming
fund.
Okay, so really, we don't know exactly what we're gonna end up.
No.
Basically, it
And you
depends on
don't-
how much money you spend. It's not,
Well,
how fast we get it in.
anywhere within the metro Atlanta
No,
region.
yeah, but let's keep it in some.
Well, but for other reasons, that's fine, but any money you spend, don't feel bad about any money.
No, I don't feel bad, but I want to spend stuff.
The only thing about it is, it comes in until the money that they said they were gonna collect, 6 point whatever billion dollars.
8.6 billion.
When that comes in, it stops. If they collect it in 4 years, it stops. If they collect it in 8 years, it stops.
Or it
If
stops
they
in
don't
10
get
years.
done, if they don't collect it in 10 years, it stops.
All right, let's move on, we're getting short on time. Recreational rental fees, Ms. Black.
I had given each of you some information in front of you. I wasn't sure, it wasn't differentiated whether it was all rentals or field rentals, but our facility rentals are pretty cut and dry. So I concentrated on field rentals. The information that's in front of you, basically what that top sheet gives you is the way we process whether we can do a rental or not. There really are 3 things that we look at. It's the playing surface, as it says on there, current league play, and then revenue. The playing surface really is always the top because that's just about safety and liability and all of that. There's, as you can see on there, there's some things that we have to look at. It goes down to maintenance, scheduling of the fields, and of course the weather plays a factor in that too. Once all of that is kind of, and we look at it on a yearly basis because with all of our fields being natural grass, obviously there's year-round play just isn't possible. So all of that goes into effect when we're trying to decide whether we can add a league or add a rental with the request of whatever each person has. Just some of our statistics is that middle section, just to give you some idea. We're pretty much always turning people away because we just don't have enough capability to let everybody play. But we currently have 5 leagues that we run or that rent facility from us, both youth and adults, and that's done on 2 playing surfaces. It's hard to say, they're not really one field because, for instance, our youth soccer, they use Briscoe Field, but there are 7 soccer fields on that one platform. So you can't really just say we have one field that youth soccer uses. They use a multi-use area, but they actually have 7 fields that they use. So just to give you guys an idea, that was why that middle section's there. It's kind of a breakdown of the hours, which roughly is about 2,300, and that's hours of playtime with the leagues that we have currently. That doesn't include any of the special events. I did put on there about the Snellville days because we do park on the fields, and that's rain or shine, so you can imagine I cringe when we do have foul weather because it's not very good for the field. So all of that plays a factor into it, so it's hard to, unlike the facilities, it's hard to just say when somebody comes along, if they pick a date and there's nothing being done on that field, meaning no other league, it still doesn't mean that it's available, because that could either be downtime or because we're already using the field. Staley Field, for instance, it has 4 different sports that play on it during every season. So if you can imagine what that really does, in a way it's good because we're not pounding it in one direct way, but we're pounding it in 4 different ways during each season. So all of that plays into effect. The second set of information that's in here is our actual rental agreement. And basically part of how, when we got switched over to being a rental facility, that meant all the leagues pretty much started from scratch. So some of the leagues, as they have been trying to get going, we've had to adjust the rate that we ask of them, because if we ask too high, then obviously the league can't happen. So for the most part, just about all of the leagues do go by what the rental agreement is, which is, you can either say it by 2 hours, which is what we used to do, which is $50, or basically $25 an hour. So that's what most of them do. Youth soccer is actually our, as you can see by the numbers on there, that's our big revenue. I know some of you are new, but when we switched over in 2010 to not running our own, we developed a steering committee. They went through the process and chose Blue Springs as the association that would run the program over there. They are the only entity right now, they are the only league that actually still uses Snellville in their name. So it is Snellville Soccer. All the other leagues just play at Briscoe, but whoever it is that runs the league, that's their name, at Briscoe. And part of that was simply because it's not a city-run program, so they just don't use the Snellville. But because of the steering committee, and with part of the request that came through with soccer was that they wanted it to stay home, they wanted Snellville to be a big part of it, they wanted recreation to be a big part of it. So Blue Springs has kept the name. The website is snellvillesoccer.com. It will take you to the Blue Springs website, but it is still called Snellville Soccer, and that's the only league that we have right now that continues that. That's kind of why I gave you the newsletter that they put out, because that was a big deal with the steering committee and with a lot of people that were inquiring about it. They didn't want to lose that, and so I think they've done a really good job with trying to keep that and trying to keep people, still centered with Snellville. They've also, they've continued to grow. Actually, we're up, they sent me a letter, I think we're up by like 60% from when they started, which is spring of 2011. So their numbers are continuing to grow. I think their first season they had 233 kids, and this last season, right now that they just started, they had 483. So their numbers are growing. I mean, they're doing what we asked of them to do. They meaning youth soccer, occupies an unbelievable amount of time on the fields, because they also do practices Monday through Friday, and then their games are on Saturday. So they occupy a lot of field space and time. And that's part of the reason, and the reason why I went through all this was to give a background on, we don't just randomly say you can play and you can't. It really is based on the whole year, what we have going on. As you can see on there, we have 2 tournaments right now that we're continuing to have. Hopefully we'll keep having some more. But you have to factor in the tournaments, you have to factor in the little soccer camps that we have, and then any special events and all of that. So all of that kind of gets factored into the whole process. And I don't know if that's really what you were looking for when you put that on there, or if you just wanted to know fees and that was it.
No, this is good. I do have a couple questions. I wanted to know the process, because we had the Frisbee dog guy has contacted me again, wanting to do some type of exhibition type show, and I wasn't familiar with the process, so that's a one-time event, not necessarily a league play. Also, there is a group that maybe in the parade called Hoop Essence. They're hula hoopers, but they do like trick hula hoops.
We always got in touch with her. Her issue is that she wanted an inside facility, and she's not sure that the Betty room would work, meaning that it's not big enough,
right?
Because of what they do.
So I didn't know personally. I didn't know what the process was, and I wanted more information.
And it's done. It is done. Especially like that would be considered the dog more of a special event, and so we do factor in what it is they're doing, how much of the field they need. So that's all a part of it, which is why we keep telling everybody, tell us what it is you want, and then we can look at it, because we might be able to say yes to that, but no to a sports tournament because of what they might do to the field as far as wear and tear. But that might be yes because their wear and tear isn't as high, even though it may be more time on the field. So all of that factors in, and it's just not, that's where it's hard because it's not black and white. We can't just say
Right.
yes or no.
Also, the other soccer league has requested another meeting with me. I guess Blue Springs' contract is almost up.
Yes.
Is that right? And so they want to make a presentation to council before we renew any contracts.
The only issue I have with that is that was what the steering committee was developed for initially, and it was presented to them that once a decision was made, that's who we would stay with. And, I mean, whatever Mayor and Council wants to do is fine. I want to make sure that you just know that that was what was presented to them. And certainly, I'm always open to listening to what people have to say too. And I don't have any issue with that. Certainly from my standpoint, Blue Springs has done what we've asked, so I don't have any heartburn with listening to what somebody has to say, but again, the way it was presented to the steering committee was that whoever would come in would certainly go ahead and move forward with the whole thing.
Okay.
So.
Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Platt? We are running short on time.
One thing that impressed me on this page was, welcome to Snellville Soccer, beginning March 10th, Athens Orthopedic will be open on Saturday from 9 to 12 in Snellville for all your little Johnny's soccer emergency needs.
All right, moving on. Community garden tree, Mayor Pro Tem Litz.
Yes, a couple of meetings ago, or yeah, maybe 2 meetings ago, former Mayor Pro Tem Todd Warner came in front of us and asked about some, again, donations for trees for the community garden. Basically, there's, John, you can help me with this, a total of 8 trees needed?
Well, there's more than that, but he was looking at it.
He was looking at 8. What the Community Garden Committee is looking for is an April 22nd groundbreaking. That's Arbor Day. They would like to be able to plant 8 trees, and they are Bramble,
Rayburn apples. Rayburn apples.
Rayburn apples, as opposed to non-Rayburn. And I'm just, I'd like to bring it up at the next meeting that we use the tree fund to, I don't think it's gonna be a lot of money. Were they about $40 a piece, that we understand?
I think so, yes, sir.
We got about $320 to donate to Bristol Park to plant on April 22nd at the groundbreaking for the community garden itself.
Coffee with council, Councilman Howard.
In a nutshell, real quick, since we're running out of time, I'm wanting to put together a program that allows council to gather on the first Saturday of every month, beginning at the farmer's market. And for the coffee there at the meeting, we want to try to use the vendors that has coffee there at the market. So I've got some details to work out. So I'll get, the next week, I'll send out to council kind of an overview of what I envision that to be, and it'll be something that will run continuously, like I said, the first Saturday every month, and then when the market shuts down, we'll figure out where to go from there.
You buying,
You are.
You are?
it's only done, right?
Works for me.
No.
We've got plenty of time.
Just gonna divide it by 6 and 5 and send it out.
Code Red system, anything
Do I
else?
need to explain it? No. Where would you like, on the agenda would you like the chief to step in to do that? Do you want to do it at the end, or do you want him to do it?
Chief, will you stand for the whole meeting?
How about you put it in?
She's always on TV. We can do a department committee report.
How about department reports too? Excellent, thank you.
LCI update?
There's nothing on it really, is there?
Well, just very, very quickly, we did send out the letters that were discussed, and we have a meeting scheduled for 10 o'clock Wednesday.
10 or 11?
10 o'clock Wednesday here. And we confirmed with GDOT, and we're 99, 44, 100% sure on ARC.
Agenda setting session, does anybody have anything that wasn't already discussed that needs to be added to the next council agenda? Okay, we are adjourned, we'll reconvene in about 2 minutes.